There's a recording of the warrant my mom's got on the phone. Well, it's of us talking about the affidavit. Can you clarify? No, my mom was there, but no, this is me wanting to talk. But the whole point is the story she explained in the actual way that everything happened is not how it happened at all. You know what I mean? So that's like almost an hour before and you know. I've saved it on her time. Because I basically do two things. And then, yeah, that's what we want to do. Yeah.
I don't know if we do that.
But it expresses all of it.
You just did a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All rise. Please be seated. Danny McLean, case number 22, CRA 121. We are here today for preliminary hearing. Let the record reflect that Mr. McLean is present, represented by attorney Musilli, and the state is present, represented by, I'm sorry, please state your name for the
Attorney Matt Metcalf, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you ready to call your first witness?
The state is, Your Honor.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would waive open to start off. I don't know if the bench has any open.
Okay, do you have any opening statement?
Waive opening.
Okay.
At this point, the state will call Lauren McLean.
Yep.
Alright, you want to raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. And would you please introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Lauren McLean.
Okay. And McLean is spelled?
McClain.
All right. Ms. McLean, you live here?
I hate to interrupt, but I'd rather interrupt early on. I'm a little hard of hearing and may have to project a little more.
I think the
Can
mic
you make
might
sure
be-
the mic's on?
It's on. I just turned it up.
Okay.
Is there an amplifying mic? Or
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
that helps, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. McLean, you live here locally?
Yes, I do.
Where's that at?
It's on 9 Grove Avenue Extension, and that's Shelby, Ohio.
And how long have you lived there?
I've been at that residence since August of 2021.
2021?
Yes.
Okay. And that's in Shelby, Ohio, you said?
Yes.
Richland County?
Yes.
Who do you live there with?
I live there with my husband, Danny McLean, and my daughter, Madeline Stump.
Okay. And you said your husband is Danny McLean?
Yes.
All right, I just have to do this, but if you were to see Mr. McLean, again, would you recognize him?
Yes.
All right. Do you see Mr. McLean in the courtroom anywhere?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point out where he is seated and what
He
he's
is
wearing?
sitting over there in a gray hoodie.
And it's a gray hoodie, not a gray t-shirt, right?
That is a gray hoodie.
Your Honor, would the record reflect she's identified the defendant?
The record will so reflect.
And you said he's your husband?
Yes.
How long you two been married?
We got married in 2010, so 11 years.
And your daughter lives there with you?
Correct.
At Grove?
Yes.
Just the three of you?
Just the three of us.
Kind of like a family, right?
Yep.
Did you two have an incident on April 4th of this year that resulted in contact with police?
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
What do you want to know?
Okay. A lot of the details of it, and is it easy for you to talk about it? No? Not fun, right?
No.
Okay. How'd you end up making contact with police?
I walked out of our back door and proceeded to walk down the street, and our neighbor on the corner of our street picked me up in her truck and asked me if I needed to go somewhere, and I told her yes, and she proceeded to drive me here.
Okay. Now, when you're walking out of there, do you have shoes on?
No.
All right.
Just in my socks.
Okay. Is it typical to leave your house in your socks or not? Some people do.
For me, that's a tricky question because I do weird things like that, but only because of how I'm feeling in that moment or how my health is affecting me.
Why'd you leave without shoes on?
I honestly can tell you when I was walking down the street and felt the water soak through my socks, I did make a mental note that I didn't even put on shoes. So
Were you even aware you left without shoes?
No.
Did you leave in kind of a hurry?
No, I calmly walked out the back door.
Okay. Do you know where you were going?
No, I was just walking away.
And then a neighbor picks you up and takes you to the police department?
Yes.
Did you want to go there?
No, honestly, I wanted to go to the hospital.
Okay. Did you tell her that, the neighbor?
No, she didn't ask any questions. She asked if I was Lauren and married to Danny, and I said yes. And she proceeded to say that she knew my mother, and I just looked at her and I said, please don't tell your daughter that you picked me up like this. And she said, I won't. I used to work with her daughter, and she drove me here.
When you say picked you up like this, what do you mean?
I had made it down to the stop sign of our road and turned right, headed towards either the hospital is on this direction and, police department is to the left. So I had made it to the middle of that road, and she had pulled her truck over and asked me if I needed a ride.
Okay. But when you said picked you up like this, what do you mean? You just mean like picked you up?
She pulled over and she had seen me walking from the house and said that she could see that I had looked upset, and she just wanted to pull over and see if I needed any help.
Make sure you're okay?
Yeah.
Were you upset then?
I was crying, but I wasn't I honestly was sort of just dissociated at that point.
Okay. And you end up going to the police department, right?
Yes, she ends up taking me there. She said, would you like me to walk in with you? And I just said no and wandered into the police station.
And this is one of your neighbors?
Yes.
What's her name?
I don't know her name.
Okay. Get to the police department. Do you speak with anybody there?
I believe Officer Nolan was the first person that I had made contact with.
All right. You kind of just pointed, but the record doesn't pick that up. Did you see Officer Nolan here as well?
He's sitting right there.
All right. You spoke with him at the police department?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
All I remember is walking in there, and I was crying, and I didn't even know if I wanted to be there, and he came out and, asked me what happened, and I honestly can't recall what I had said to him at that moment. I just was there.
I got you. And that's not that important unless it's inconsistent, but What had happened that you left the house that day?
We had gotten into an argument. And my husband and I had gotten into an argument that morning, and I had threatened to kill myself, and that is when the altercation started. I ran to our bedroom where I had my handgun in a case. I had grabbed my keys, and I had ran for the bedroom screaming that I'm just going to kill myself. And that's when he ran after me and struggled to get the case and keys away from me.
Okay. And you described it as an altercation.
Obviously, it was physical if he was, trying to rip a gun case out of my hands to not let me unlock it and access my gun.
Okay. Physical other than that day?
I can tell you I remember us walking back and forth through our house. But after that, I don't know. I know that I walked out of there with bruises, and I know that I had threatened plenty of things for me to be pretty much uncontrollable at that point. And I don't know.
Who all was home at this point?
It was just Danny and I.
Okay. The daughter's not there?
No.
How was Danny acting?
I guess like any husband would act when a wife says she's going to go kill herself and grabs keys and a gun. He was he was emotional. He had cried. I mean, he was saying things to me like, "What about your daughter? You need to stop. Like, you need to just stop." And I didn't stop.
He wasn't threatening to kill himself too?
He had threatened to kill himself in the kitchen, and that is when I said, well, then I'm going to shoot myself as well then.
All right. And he threatened to leave you as well, right?
He did. This was before any of the threatening happened. He did say that he would leave, and I didn't want that.
Okay. Details in this are important, right?
Yes.
You said you had bruises on you?
I had a bruise under my arm, and a tiny little scratch on the other arm, on my other arm.
There's been photographs of that, right?
Yes.
Pretty visible?
I would say the only real visible bruise that I had was the one underneath my arm. And I can recall that one happening when he did try to grab the gun away from me, because I did struggle back. I wasn't going to let him have it.
And you're saying that's when he was trying to grab the gun?
Yeah.
After you threatened to hurt yourself?
Correct.
He grabbed you any other times?
A few times, but not like in a harmful manner, more or less like a, hey, you need to calm down. And for me, with having PTSD and anything else that I've been dealing with, any sort of touching me in that state of mind is going to feel like it's harmful. But it was not.
Did he ever punch you?
No.
Never punched you?
No.
And you, at the police department, you did give a statement about this, right?
Yes.
Do you recall what you said in that statement?
No, not necessarily.
Do you know when you wrote that statement?
I know that I wrote that statement on the 4th of April, at maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock that day.
It's the same day?
Yes.
And it would have been fresh in your memory when you wrote the statement, right?
Correct.
More fresh than it is now, right?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't lie in that statement, did you?
I did not tell the whole truth in that statement. No.
But that you did write one, and you signed it at the end of it. That's right.
Correct.
You understand the importance of telling the truth now?
Yes.
Okay. You know you're under oath, right?
I do.
And you know that if you don't do that, that could be a big problem for you?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to make sure we're doing that.
Yes.
You all right with that?
Yep.
I want to get a few more details from this.
Okay.
Are you saying the only time he had his hands on you was when he was trying to get the gun from you?
He's either trying to get the gun from me or trying to get me to calm down because I was running through the house back and forth.
He wasn't shoving you into the things or shoving you down?
No.
Okay. And you're sure of that?
Yes.
You know in your statement you wrote that he was shoving you down and shoving you around?
Yes.
That was not true?
No.
Why'd you write that?
I don't know. Like I've said, I've went to counseling for this situation plenty of times, and I don't know.
Okay. Since that happened, there was an arrest warrant for him. You're aware of that?
Yes.
And then he's contacted you a few times since that arrest warrant, right?
Yes.
And he's told you to change your story when he contacts you, right?
That was my ideal at first. And, I mean, you guys took my phone. I willingly handed that over. Obviously, the conversations between him and I since the 4th have been very up and down.
A lot of talk about this case, though, right?
Yes.
And what's he telling you to say or do about this case?
He was telling me that I needed to tell the whole truth because I did leave things out of my statement that I should have made you guys aware of.
Like what?
As far as I never put down that I said I was going to shoot myself.
I think you did in your statement, right?
I'm pretty sure in my statement I mentioned that he would shoot himself, but I don't think that I put that in there about myself, no.
Okay, and it's like a 4-page statement, right?
Yeah.
You want a chance to review that?
No.
You know, to refresh your memory? Would it help you refresh your memory? And
No.
the record doesn't pick up the head nods, I apologize.
No.
It would not refresh your memory?
No.
Reviewing your statement?
I would prefer not to.
Okay, and I know that. And I know you prefer not to be here right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you did write a statement the day of, and the memory or your recollection of the events would have been closer in time then than it is now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember trying to leave that day?
Yes.
How many times do you think you tried to leave?
The only time that I actually physically tried to leave was when I walked out the back door. I actually opened the back door and walked out. I never actually tried to exit the house. I mean, I had walked towards either exit of the house. There's only 2 ways in and out of that trailer. There's a front door and there's a back door in our bedroom. So this whole time that this is happening, I'm walking in either direction, but never actually physically tried to exit the house. And I do recall saying that I do just want to leave, that I want to leave, but he kept telling me to just calm down.
Okay. And I just want to be very clear on this. Are you testifying today that you did not try and leave more than once that day?
No.
Do you remember telling police that you did?
Yes.
How many times did you tell them you tried to leave?
Several times. And like I said, that was me walking in the direction of the door, but I never actually physically tried to open the door or walk out. That's why on camera at our house, I calmly walk out of our back door.
Okay. But do you remember why you told police you couldn't get out?
No.
Your Honor, I think at this point I would approach and show the witness her statement, see if she can. It's kind of 4 pages, but there's been a lot of memory issues. And I think maybe that could refresh her recollection before we continue questioning.
All right. Any objection?
Your Honor, I was told, I haven't seen the statement myself.
Okay. If we could get copies for both the witness as well as Attorney Musilli.
We should have got something from the court.
Your Honor, I would ask for separation of witnesses in case defense has any witnesses that I'm not aware of.
Okay. In the event that the defense would be calling any witnesses, the court would grant that, and any witnesses that may be called would have to exit the courtroom and sit in the hallway for the remainder of the case.
Should have done that sooner. Not used to having witnesses for defense at a prelim.
If it's only being used to refresh up.
And just for the record, the witness has been handed a copy of what I believe would be your own statement. I can label it State's Exhibit 1 for identification purposes. And just having a chance to review that to refresh your memory.
All right, the record will still reflect.
complaint, have you had a chance to review that?
Yes.
Okay. You doing all right? Need a second?
Yes.
I think you've got some tissues there too. If you do need a second, I think the court would allow that. Is that the first time you've had a chance to review that
Yes.
since you wrote it?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, kind of emotional reading it.
Yes.
Does that bring back some memories?
Yes, it does.
Does it refresh your memory on what happened a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Do you remember what this argument was over?
I had came home from work and had found something on our bed that was not supposed to be there.
Okay. Some drug paraphernalia, right?
Correct.
All right. And you were mad at him for that?
Yes.
And that's what this is about, right?
Yes.
Okay. Having read, well, let me ask you. I'm going to switch with you. I've got one that's marked State's Exhibit 1 for identification purposes, if I may approach, Your Honor. I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 1, and if I can have what you have, if that's all right.
Sure.
Is State's Exhibit 1 a copy of what you were just reviewing?
Yes.
It's the same copy, 4 pages, all the exact same information. And you're taking a look at it now to confirm that?
Yes.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 1, is that your statement, right?
That is my statement.
And you signed that, right?
I did.
That's from April 4th of this year?
Correct.
You've had a chance to review that now.
Yes.
After reviewing your statement, do you remember if it was a little bit more physical than you previously said here today?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like a chance to correct what you previously said here today?
Everything in my statement is true, other than the fact that I ran through that house screaming that I was still going to kill myself, but everything is true.
Okay. So he pushed you more than once?
Yes.
Grabbed you more than once?
Yes.
You tried to leave more than once?
I did.
And what would happen when you tried to leave?
He would push me away from the door, get in front of me.
Ever come a time where you tried to call 911?
I did.
Whose phone was that on?
It was his phone.
Were you able to call 911?
No,
Why not?
because he took it from me.
He took his phone from you?
Yes.
Did you have your phone?
No,
Why not?
he took my phone from me and said that he was going to break it.
Did you break it?
No. He left it on the couch for me when I returned with Officer Nolan.
Okay. So you were trying to call 911 that day?
Yeah.
Trying to leave?
Yes.
You weren't able to call 911, right?
No.
Were you able to leave?
Eventually, yes.
How long do you think this went on before you could leave?
Maybe an hour or so.
That's a long time. You think it was 60 minutes before you were finally able to leave?
Yes.
Okay. In those 60 minutes, a lot going on?
A lot going on.
Just you two in the house?
Just us.
Do you think you can walk us through that? And I know you've done a little bit. We know you had an argument over drug paraphernalia.
Yes.
Did you try to leave at that point?
Nope. I walked to our bedroom and sat back there for 20 to 30 minutes, just trying to let it go, let it be. And he ended up coming back to the bedroom saying that he had a lot of stuff to do that day and that he needed some help. And so I asked him, what do you need? And that is where he stated that he had things to mail out and that he would leave the truck there for me. I could stay there until I had enough money to buy myself a car, and then we would figure it out, get a divorce from there, and we would just be done. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that, so I told him I didn't want that, and I followed him into our kitchen where he was standing there crying. And I do my normal thing where I try to hug him and make it better, and that didn't make it better. And he said that he would rather shoot himself than let me control him any longer. And I said, okay, then I'm going to shoot myself too. And so I ran to our bedroom. I had grabbed my keys off of the hook by the front door, and I ran to our bedroom, and I grabbed my gun case, and I proceeded to try to unlock it.
The gun case is what you grabbed?
Yes.
Okay.
And he ran back there after me and told me to stop, struggled to get the case from me. I wasn't letting him have it willingly. And he grabbed it from me and shoved me down and told me to stop. And it's where he put his hand over my mouth so that he could tell me to stop, what about your daughter? You have to think about Maddie.
That's a good thing.
And I looked at him and I said, I don't care.
Okay.
Because I didn't care at that point.
All right. Thankfully, he was able to stop you, right?
Yes.
Okay. But that's not the end of this, though, is it?
No, it's not.
All right.
And so I got off the bed and I said I was going to leave. And so I went towards the front door. We walked down the hallway, and I'm not really sure. There was a lot of walking back and forth our house. And by the time that it was all said and done and I had tried to call, I didn't have a phone. He told me that my asthma was fake, and then proceeded to hand me my inhaler. And so I walked out the back door with my purse and my inhaler. And that's what I showed up at the police station with no shoes and sweatpants.
No phone.
No phone.
I want just a few more details on that. Did he ever grab you around your neck?
Or when I was on the bed.
Okay. So he did do that?
Yes.
Now he's the one who pushed you on the bed, right?
After he took my gun, yes.
Okay.
He told me to stop and to calm down.
Okay. How many times do you think you tried to call police?
I just once.
With this one?
Yeah.
Did you get any numbers dialed or no?
No. I never got the phone unlocked.
Did you tell him what you were doing with the phone?
No, he knew what I was doing with the phone.
How do you know that?
Because that's the only reason he grabbed it.
Okay. So you were trying to call the police and you weren't able to?
Yeah.
How many times do you think you tried to leave?
I don't know.
More than once?
More than once.
And did he always stop you in the same way?
No, it was either he would get in front of me and then I would just turn around and walk towards the other door, or it was at one point just in my face, telling me to stop, that he loves me and that I need to stop.
Pretty emotional time for both of you?
Yes.
You ever tried physically stopping Stephen?
Just the once.
All right.
The front door.
How do you do that?
I had a hold of the door handle and he put his arms around me.
Just say that a little bit louder if you could. I'll ask you again. You said one time he tried to physically stop you?
Yes, I had a hold of the front door handle and he put his arms around my waist and dragged me away from the door, which is when I seen the phone on the couch and tried to grab it.
That would be your phone?
That was his phone.
Okay. So you tried to leave, he stopped you, tried to call 911, he stopped you. Tried to leave again?
If I recall correctly, that is the time where he was still standing by the front door and I walked through the hallway and out the back sliding door.
And you two have had some contact since this date, right?
Correct.
We talked about that a little bit.
Yes.
And he's wanted you to make this go away?
I wanted to make it go away.
So maybe both of you?
I would assume we would both want it to go away. This isn't how we didn't want our life to continue going like this. We've had quite a rough time.
In your honor, I mean, if the defendant wants to take a stand after this, I think he's more than welcome to.
Yes, please refrain from making any comments during the pendency of the case. If you want to speak later, you'll have the ability to take the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. Has he ever tried to tell you to undo your statement or recant on your statement?
Say it again.
The question was, has the defendant ever told you to recant on her statement?
The only time that was stated was when I had showed up at your office and had called the mayor, and he had told me that that's the appropriate term that I would have needed to use, because I was already in the process of trying to recant my statement. But that was not his idea.
He did tell you to do that.
He did state that that's what I would say if I were to do that.
And the only reason you wanted to do that was to help him out?
Yes.
And you said earlier that your statement was true. Is your statement true?
It is true.
Okay. So the only reason to recant it would be to help him out, right?
Correct.
We had I think it's a Miss Blanton earlier. You know her?
Yes.
Who is she?
She's Danny's mom.
I think it's very relevant, and I'd be getting to that pretty quickly here.
I'm going to allow it, just keep it brief.
You know her?
Well, yes.
And who is she?
She's Danny's mom.
Has she ever had contact with you after this?
Yes.
And what's that look like?
At first, it was her trying to be helpful to me to help Danny. And that ended in me calling the police station and reporting harassment.
From her?
Yes.
At one point, you did go to the police department also to try and recant your story, right?
I did.
What did they tell you?
That it had already been sent to you and that there was nothing that anyone could do at this point.
When, after you write your statement, do you go back to your house with the police?
Yes.
And did they have you relive the whole incident?
Yes.
Do you know if that was on body camera or not?
I would assume so.
Okay. But they had you relive your statement right after it happened, right?
Yes.
You said you were able to get your phone at that point?
Yes, my phone was left on the couch.
Was Danny there?
No.
Do you know where he was at that point?
I didn't.
The police showed up, he's not there though, right?
No.
May I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Oh, ma'am.
Ms. McLean, as State's Exhibit 1, if you still have it in front of you, is that a fair and accurate depiction of your statement? I mean, is that the statement that you wrote?
That is the statement I wrote on April 4th.
Okay. And that's a fair and accurate depiction of your statement? It's a copy, it's not the exact. But
Correct.
does it look like anybody altered or changed anything? I think I might have underlined something.
No, it doesn't look like it was altered.
Just some underlining of a few words?
Correct.
Nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay. Attorney Musilli, you may question your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. McLean, I'm a little confused about the statement at this point. You're saying that the statement is true. Are you still maintaining that it is not complete?
It is not complete, no.
And being not complete, it's fair to say you phrased it in a way most favorable to your mood at the time that you wrote it. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And you left out some important details.
I did.
What were you saying when Danny was refusing to allow you to leave?
Famous words from me is, please just let me go. And I've been known to say that anytime that I am suicidal.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I have been known to say those exact words anytime that I am suicidal.
You've been suicidal in the past.
Correct.
In fact, you've been suicidal.
All right. I'm going to object to any prior bad acts that you might be getting into that are not related to this incident. If that's where he's been. I'm not sure where the concern is. I kind of did that.
Keep it on a very short brief. Let's date of the day in question and surrounding events.
I'll do that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So you were suicidal at the time,
Correct.
and you made Danny aware of this,
I did.
and he was aware of it because of your prior history.
Correct.
And did you have a means to harm yourself?
In that moment, yes.
When you were trying to use your phone, did he have a way of knowing what exactly you were doing with it?
No.
So he didn't know your purpose in using your phone?
No, I didn't make that clear. I just wanted my phone.
And you mentioned he grabbed you about the neck or around the neck. Did that leave any marks?
No.
Did that at the time impair your breathing in any way?
No.
Let me ask you this. Which of the two of you is larger than the other?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
We're similar in size.
Okay. Which of the two of you is the stronger?
I don't know.
You don't know? Does Danny have any special training, martial arts or otherwise?
No.
Do you have any special training, martial arts or otherwise?
I do.
What kind of training do you have?
I am a black belt in martial arts and self-defense, and I was an MMA fighter.
Stop you on the kind of believe that you could overpower him if you wanted to.
I could.
And when you were trying to leave, or saying that you wanted to leave, was he saying anything about that? Was he saying anything like, if you try to leave, I will?
No, it was more, let's sign the divorce papers and then you can leave, or just calm down. Those sort of remarks.
And when you left, you say you went through the bedroom door.
There's a backsliding door, yes.
Backsliding door,
In
which
our-
was on the far side of the bedroom.
Correct.
Okay. So is there a door between the bedroom and the preceding room?
There's a bedroom door
Okay.
that you can close.
So when you went through to the bedroom to leave, did you close the bedroom door behind you?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So when you left, it seems to me in your statement somewhere, you said you managed to get the door open?
We use a piece of wood to secure that back door because it does not have a lock on it. So I had to pull that piece of wood out of the door and slide it open.
Okay. And did Danny restrain you in any way from doing that?
No, when I exited that door, no. I don't know where he was at that point.
He didn't follow you into the room?
I can't recall that. The only thing I recall is walking out that door.
You used a word. You said that after you walked out the back door, you were disassociated at that point.
Correct.
What do you mean by that, disassociated?
That is something that I do in a traumatic experience or just any time of the day, really, depending on my mood. I dissociate, which means it's my body's way of removing myself from the current reality.
And when you say at that point, at what point did that dissociation start?
When I walked out that door.
Now, you say that you tried to walk out the front door,
Correct.
and that he grabbed you around the waist
Yes.
and prevented you from going out the front door.
Yes.
But given your training and skill, you could have gone out the front door had you really wanted to, right?
Correct.
Do you know his reason for not letting you leave?
He said he did not want me to go hurt myself.
do I have any other questions, Your Honor? Thank you.
All right. Anything based upon that?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Ms. McLean, I'm just going to have a few more.
Sure.
Defense attorney had asked you if he'd ever said anything when you would try to leave. And I believe on cross-examination you said that he didn't want you to go hurt yourself.
Correct.
Do you remember saying that every time you tried to leave, he would grab you and say that this is about to get really bad for you?
He said that once in the hallway.
All right. Kind of scary when he says that, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, he says it's going to get really bad for you. That's not a good thing, right?
No.
What did you take that to mean?
At that moment, I didn't know what that meant. That could have meant anything.
Scary though, right?
Scary as it being unknown because I didn't really know how to interpret that in the moment.
Something bad.
Yeah.
You're not getting the present if he's able to stop you, right?
Correct.
There was a talk about some experience you have as an MMA fighter.
Correct.
Where'd you do that at?
Here in Shelby.
Okay. And did you do actual fights?
I did.
How many?
I did 3 when I was 16
Where were those at?
in Mansfield.
Fairgrounds?
There was, I believe, 2 there, and there was 1 in Norwalk, I believe.
How'd you do?
My very first fight was a draw against a 24-year-old out of the Marines. I was 16,
Female, right?
female.
And the other 2?
I won the other 2.
Okay. Knockout, submission, what are we talking about?
It's more of like a point system, I guess. I didn't.
By decision.
Yes,
You said you're a black belt in martial arts?
correct.
Like all of them?
More or less self-defense.
That's a martial art?
Mm-hmm. I attended Tiger Paw Karate here in Shelby.
Okay, when did you do that?
I started that when I was 10 years old. And I did that until I was 17.
There was talk about that, and, I think defense asked you that you could have left if you wanted to.
I could have.
Would that have required you to hurt Mr. McLean?
Yes,
So that would have required you to commit a crime?
exactly.
Let me ask you this. Out of the 2 of you in that incident, who's in control of what's going on there?
I let him be in control. I didn't want to hurt him.
Well, he didn't let you call 911, right?
No.
And you weren't allowed to leave, right?
No.
Nothing more on that, Your Honor.
All right. Any further based upon those questions?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Give me a second.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just a few more minutes, okay?
Question. Mrs. McLean, you indicated you have a daughter, right?
I do.
When Mr. McLean said that this was about to get bad for you, or could get bad for you, whatever he said, did it occur to you that he could have meant that you would
I'm going to object, Your Honor.
jeopardize
Speculation.
losing your daughter?
All right. I'm not going to allow that based upon the previous testimony. I don't think there was any mention of the daughter in the redirect.
Let me ask you, did you take that as a threat?
I didn't know how to take that statement in that moment. That wasn't something that was relevant to me at the time. It was just something that he was saying.
No other questions, Your Honor?
All right, anything further based upon that? All right, you may step down.
Okay, for her to leave, okay.
Give her subpoena.
Do you want this back?
Well,
Just need that. Thank you.
ready to call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The last and final witness from the state would be Officer Nolan. Moved Sergeant Nolan recently. Thank you.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Morning.
Please introduce yourself to the court.
Sean Nolan,
Nolan is spelled.
Nolen.
You're pretty good with the mic, it sounds.
I am.
I got you. Might have to tone that down a little bit.
I'll back up a little bit here.
I got you. You work for the police department?
Yes,
Shelby?
Shelby.
How long you done that?
I've been here 4 years, been a police officer for 16.
Okay. Police officer where else?
Prior to here, I worked at Crestline. I worked there several years. And then I worked simultaneously at the Ashland County Jail as a jailer.
Okay. So 16 years in law enforcement.
Combined, yeah.
4 years here at Shelby. What have you done here at Shelby?
Since I've been here, let's see, I attended DRE school. An SFS, DRE is a drug recognition expert. And I attended a SFST instructor school, which I can instruct officers how to perform SFSTs in the field, which are standardized field sobriety tests. And I recently just got a promotion to sergeant.
Okay. What do you do? Well, do you know what you do as sergeant yet or not?
Still learning. Supervise a shift. It's going to be B-watch on weekend nights.
Okay. Other than that, your 4 years here, you've been, is it called patrol?
Yeah, patrol division, answer calls, investigations, things of that nature.
Did you respond to, and obviously you sat here through all of Ms. McLean's testimony.
Yes.
Did you respond to a call involving her and Mr. McLean?
She came to us. She arrived at the police department to make a complaint.
All right. And tell us about that if you can, just briefly.
When she arrived, she wasn't wearing any shoes. I believe the dispatcher indicated that there was a female in the lobby wanting to speak to an officer about being held against her will in her residence and being assaulted. I went out there. I immediately noticed, again, she wasn't wearing any shoes, didn't have a coat on. I believe it was pretty cold that day. She had indicated she got a ride up from a neighbor to make the complaint. I brought her inside into the patrol room, pretty big open room, a couple desks, chairs. I had her sit down. Myself and another officer involved sat at a couple other chairs, activated our body cams, and just kind of let her go through the whole story of what occurred.
How did she appear when you talked to her?
She had a tough time getting out, lengthy sentences. And by tough time, I mean emotionally. She would have significant emotional reactions, whether it be crying or hyperventilating. I had to give her moments of silence to herself several times for her to kind of gather her thoughts.
Compare it to how she was here this morning, if you can.
Similar.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
similar.
saw the same Ms. McLean
Yes,
that day as you did today.
yes,
And you had her write a statement.
I did.
How's that work?
So I let them go through verbally everything that they need to say, uninterrupted, for the most part. Sometimes I kind of got to get them back on track if they start talking about something that happened 6 years ago and it's coming back, now. So I try to keep them on track, but mostly uninterrupted. All that's done on body cam. And then after that, I ask them to fill out a written statement of basically everything that we just discussed. And in the meantime, while she fills that statement out, I try to give them some private time to do that on their own. And then I can make a phone call to the prosecutor's office if need be, or start other paperwork in this situation.
Let her write it on her own?
I did.
Don't tell her what to write?
No, I wasn't in the room with her when she wrote it.
That'd be a problem, right?
Correct.
She did write a statement.
She did.
From there, what happens?
Once she wrote the statement, I contacted the prosecutor's office on duty, on call number.
With me, I think. Right?
I got you. Yeah. That is correct. And you and I spoke on the phone. I gave you the the summary version of what occurred. You asked me to ask her some follow-up questions just to kind of clarify some of the facts in the case. I asked her those follow-up questions, still on body cam, and based on those answers, you went ahead and gave me clearance to go and do a charge up for abduction.
Okay. And you created a warrant at that point?
I did.
And that was for?
That was for a single charge of abduction.
Mr. McLean?
Mr. McLean,
I gotcha.
yes.
What did you do after creating the warrant?
Lauren took Detective Turner and myself over to the trailer to see if we could locate him. Attempts to call him were unsuccessful. We checked the residence with her permission, couldn't find him inside. And then while we were in there, we had Lauren do somewhat of a recreation on what she claimed occurred that afternoon.
Was she able to do that?
She was.
Was that recreation consistent with her statement?
Yes.
Okay. She ever come back and say that was all a lie?
Never.
Did she ever come back and want to recant her story?
She did.
When was that?
The next day.
The very next day?
The very next day.
Comes back to the police department?
Twice.
Twice?
Twice.
And did she give a reason why?
She told me that Danny promised her the trailer, the truck, and that he would leave if she would dismiss charges. I told her that I don't.
Please refrain from outbursts. You'll have a chance to speak if you'd like to, okay?
She told me that initial statement, and I told her I don't have the authority to do that. It's a felony. I don't have the authority to just dismiss a felony. Apparently she misunderstood what I had said. So she contacted the prosecutor's office, I believe in person. I believe she went down to the prosecutor's office in Mansfield. And
Okay, that'll be stricken from the record.
Yeah, only what you
oh, okay, let me rephrase. She told me she went to the prosecutor's office, and then when she returned to the police department, she told me that and said, I lied to her, that they have no record of Danny and his felony and any other parts of this case. Good.
She's trying to get it dismissed or recanted or something at that point, right?
Yes.
A few days of that?
A few days of that, yep.
All the while you all are looking for Mr. McLean?
Correct.
Not able to find him?
No.
Do you know if he was found?
He was eventually found.
Where was that at?
At the residence. At 9 Grove Ave Extension, their shared residence.
Was she there?
She was there.
Okay.
However, I should state that I was not there at that time. I can only verify from what I read in a report, and that I had to do a supplement report based on the U.S. Marshal's dictation of the incident.
All right. But he was arrested for that.
Yes.
And then that's what brings us here.
Correct.
Did you ever get Mr. McLean's side of the story?
I did not. I believe Sergeant Baker spoke with him and got a statement from him, but I don't know. I can't say to what that is. I reviewed it one time, so I can't.
Okay.
I didn't have much review on that.
When she showed up at the police department, did she have any injuries that were noticeable?
On her first time coming to the police department? Yes. Yes. She had some redness and an abrasion. I believe it was her right eye, and it looked like an imprint of like glasses. Like if you got your glasses shoved in your face, there's like an imprint right here in the eye. There was a bruise on the inside of the left arm, in between the elbow and the shoulder. And then there was, I believe, some scratches maybe on like her tattoo.
Okay.
Maybe there's a tattoo on the right forearm. I believe.
That's the day of.
That's the day of, yes.
Consistent with her version of what happened?
Yes.
Ever come time to realize Mr. McLean was speaking with Miss McLean after this happened?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
She told us they were at one point. And there's I had contacted Officer Artrip because I had taken the day off. I believe it was April 5th. No, April 6th. I apologize. I contacted Officer Artrip to see if they had located Danny. I asked him to contact Miss McLean, or correction, Mrs. McLean, to see if she had heard from Danny. Officer Artrip told me that there was a conversation between Lauren and Danny via Facebook, and then that was the basis for my Facebook search warrant that we eventually sent to Facebook.
You know if any phones were downloaded in your investigation in this case?
Yes.
Whose phone was that?
Her cell phone?
Okay. Any contents of that relevant to this?
Yes.
What would that be?
There were hundreds of messages between Danny and Lauren discussing this case.
Okay. Can you tell us about some of those?
A lot of the messages were
Okay.
Best evidence.
Response.
Yeah, Your Honor, this is a probable cause preliminary hearing. I don't believe that we would be required to produce a phone download to get into the defendant's statements, which would not be hearsay. And that is all that I'm asking of this officer.
I'll allow
No,
that.
I can't, I can't reasonably cross-examine without seeing all of them.
While I understand that, and you'll have the ability to do that at trial, I'm going to allow him to answer the question and to keep it short.
I'll keep it limited to was there any influential, or did you find any messages of the defendant trying to influence Ms. McLean's testimony?
I wouldn't classify it as influence, but there were clear messages where he was sending her screenshots from the Attorney General's office, screenshots from the prosecutor's office, screenshots from the mayor's office, encouraging and explaining her how to make a complaint to get this dropped.
Okay. To get the charges dropped against himself.
Correct.
All right. Did he ever offer her anything if she was to get the charges dropped?
I believe the offer was the trailer, the truck. I don't believe anything else.
Okay.
And that he would leave.
Together?
Yeah, that she could stay and she could have the truck and that he would bail.
All she had to do was drop the charge?
Get the charges dropped, yes.
Or recant her story?
I'm pretty sure it's charges dropped, but I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But it was some to that effect.
Okay. Other than the phone download, going back to the house, reliving the incident with her, any other involvement in this case?
Just the search warrant the day we went to 9 Grove Ave Extension to get her cell phone.
Okay.
That was it. And she was cooperative then. She didn't give us a problem, handed us her phone, told us Danny wasn't in the house. We checked, he wasn't there. We looked for the other cell phone that was in the search warrant, which was his cell phone. Although unlikely it was there, we still had to check. And we did not find it.
Not able to find it?
No.
Nothing else at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Nolan, do you have Mrs. McLean's statement in front of you?
I do.
It's fair to say that it reflects that at the time that they were having their argument, he was offering to leave, right?
Can you repeat that for me, please?
That statement reflects.
Your Honor, if I may, I just want to object to getting into the statement of the victim. I think we did that pretty thoroughly. It is a state exhibit. The court will have it, I believe. I don't want to get too far into that again. I think those were better questions for the victim when she was on the stand.
Well, he doesn't have, I don't think he's heard the whole question.
I'll allow at least the question to be asked.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bottom of page 1.
Okay.
Statement says he would leave for a while, right? And if you turn the page, it said, I can use the trailer and the truck, right?
Yes.
So the comment about she could have the trailer, she could have the truck was merely a reiteration of what he had already offered, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't ask her if that was the only time he had ever offered her that. She offered that information to me. I didn't ask her those questions. She just told me, hey, if I can drop these charges, he's going to do this for me. Stop. You got to stop talking.
Yes, please don't.
You got to stop.
You get a chance to speak, okay?
So I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd ask the witness not to directly address the defendant.
Yes, you cannot address the defendant or speak to him. Only answer questions that are asked, okay?
Okay.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay. You indicate that he was found at the residence
Yes.
and that she was there.
Yes.
Do you know when he arrived back at the residence?
I do not.
You don't know how long he was there prior to his arrest?
No.
Have you had, prior to this event, other interactions with this issue?
I'm going to object to that.
I'm gonna ask, I guess, what the relevancy is.
My objection is prior bad acts. I can't ask him if he's had interactions with Mr. McLean. Same thing applies to the victim, unless we're just going to ignore the rules of evidence. I would suggest that we don't, but I can't ask that question either.
I'm not gonna allow you to get into prior bad acts of the victim at this time. I will allow him to answer if he knows who she is. You could answer that.
I don't. Never met her.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
I have none based on that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Do you have any additional witnesses?
No further witnesses from the state. We would submit State's Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Is that right?
Any objection to State's Exhibit 1 being submitted as
No, ma'am.
evidence? All right. The exhibit will be submitted, marked as State's Exhibit 1, and entered into evidence. Do you have any witnesses you would like to call?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. Any closing statements, or do you need some time to? Okay.
I'm going to submit it based on the evidence, Your Honor, with a little bit of argument. I guess, Ms. McLean is I would say, emotional victim, an emotional person. Gets herself caught up saying one thing and then saying another a few times, but I think she was abundantly clear that her statement is true. And when read that and shown that, I could see an emotional response from her. I'm going to leave it up to the court to gauge the credibility of her on what is believable, what is not. And obviously Officer Nolan's testimony as well, submitting it with State's Exhibit 1.
Any final remarks that you would like to make?
Thank you, Your Honor. Of course, familiar with buyer's remorse in cases like this. I would say that certainly there was a lot going on that night. The fact that this woman was saying that she killed her, was prepared to harm herself, kill herself, the details that she left out of her rather well-constructed statement all indicate that Mr. McLean was not trying to harm her, not trying to prevent her from leaving as much as prevent her from harming herself. And we heard her say that she's rather adept in the martial arts, and in particular self-defense, that if she really wanted to leave, she could have left. And in fact, she did leave without any interference from him. So, was there stuff going on? Oh, yes. Was there a crime? It's hard to see one. In the broader picture of this, probably the most poignant part of it was he said he was going to kill himself but made no motion toward doing that, even though it was obvious there were weapons in the house, and the only one who went for a weapon on the claim that she was going to harm herself was Mrs. McLean, and that's when the struggle began. I would say that all these folks have problems, didn't rise to the level of an objection, domestic violence, anything that one could consider a crime on the part of Mr. McLean. So I would ask the court to dismiss these charges, and if the court does not, I would like to address the court with regard to bond.
Okay. Did you have any additional comments based upon that?
No, Your Honor, but if we're going to argue bond, I would have arguments there, or potential discussion there.
All right. The court is going to deny the motion for dismissal and make a determination that there was probable cause of the crime alleged. I will allow you to be heard on bond.
His current bond?
I believe it's $50,000.
Okay. Your Honor, all the facts considered, I would be okay with a $25,000 cash bond or a $50,000 cash bond. I'm going to leave that up to the court. I do think it needs to be a cash bond. I think there needs to be a no contact order with the victim if there is not already. And if he violates that, or if he gets out and violates that, maybe no bond at all, I think would be appropriate. There's been a lot of contact with the victim after the incident, and maybe even influence in testimony. I think we got to see that today. But I'd be okay with a $25,000 cash bond on an F3 abduction charge if it is currently a $50,000.
All right. Attorney Musilli, anything additional on that?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think given the state of the evidence as we know it, I would suggest that a PR bond is more appropriate. This gentleman was found in his own home. He offered no resistance. He is a local businessman. He has no objection to a no contact order. Frankly, I think that's certainly appropriate in this case. And given his, given the state of the evidence and his ability to pay, I would suggest that PR bond is certainly more appropriate, and all of the penalties, except for a forfeiture of bail, are the same.
Just if I may respond to that, Your Honor.
You may.
Defendant being found in his own house, yeah, with the victim that the charges are the basis of, who knows he can't have contact with. It took the agents, I think, 2 or 3 weeks to find him, all the while they knew they were looking for him. So I don't think that he would respect any court orders if he was given those. I do think it needs to be a cash bond. That's a third-degree felony. Thanks.
The court is going to order a $25,000 cash bond with no contact with the victim in any way by him or any of his family members. Any contact in any way would result in revocation of the bond, and he would then be held until trial in this matter. in the event that the bond is made, electronic monitoring would also be ordered, as well as pretrial supervision. All right, I believe that is everything. We'll make sure that you guys get the paperwork relating the bond and the probable cause determination, and then he'll be bound over to the common pleas court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.